going to be sharing my 2-week update. We're going to talk about my time in the hospital, the surgery, and how I've been doing for the past 2 weeks. Today is January 24th, and I got my surgery exactly 2 weeks ago on January 10th. Let me see. So things have been going pretty well. The first few nights in the hospital were rough. They were not ideal, but I mean, I don't know what you could expect. I did wake up from my surgery, not feeling great. I think the weirdest part of it to me was feeling the difference between what I had before and waking up with just this whole new setup. As you can tell, I look very different than I did before, but I'm still pretty swollen. I woke up from my surgery. I had a bandage around my chin because I did get genioplasty, so I don't think a lot of people get genioplasty along with their joint replacement surgery, but that's just my experience. And I had one of those big bandages around my head. The night before, I had my sister do my hair in the very tight French braids that actually held for my entire time in the hospital. So that was good. Got everything out of the way because this is a lot of hair. So, once I got to my room, I was able to lift myself off of the gurney and get into the bed, which I had to get back onto a gurney like 10 minutes later to go down for x-rays, which were terrible because I had just gotten out of surgery. I was in a lot of pain. My chin was weird, and they had you, if you have jaw problems or have even been to the orthodontist before, that the chin rest and then it'll have like this is kind of the layout of the x-ray machine. So that was really painful. They also made me stand up and walk over to it. I had help, but still not something I wanted to be doing, like 2 hours after my surgery. But after that, I got back to my room, and my memory is very fuzzy on this because I was on a lot of drugs and I had just gotten out of surgery. But I was falling in and out of sleep. It was very difficult to sleep because that first night I was bleeding a lot through my mouth. So blood was coming out of my mouth. I don't mean to scare you, but it was more gross than terrifying, and I am not a big fan of blood at all. It makes me sick. I get a little lightheaded, but so they did have a little suction tube that I could. I didn't do it because I was really out of it. So my parents and the nurses would use that to suck the blood out because I couldn't. You're not supposed to swallow that either if you can avoid it, and I couldn't swallow anything at all, so everything was it was a mess. Worse than the mouth blood, which only lasted about a day and a half, like that night, and then I think it really lightened up midway through the next day, and it was gone by day 2, I think. The thing that I found was worse than the mouth bleeding was actually nose bleeding. I was not aware that this was even something that would happen, so it was a very unwelcome surprise. I was heavily bleeding out of my nose, to the point where the blood would dry and I felt like I couldn't breathe. It was very blocked up and congested all through my nose with just blood. And my oxygen levels were normal during this time, but I felt personally like I could not breathe. I was very nervous and stressed out, and I had been told before the surgery that breathing would be the thing that I would get back first. If you saw my last video, I was having breathing problems with my jaw. And, sorry, it's hard to talk right now. I don't know if you can tell, I'm struggling, so I might have to go, like, an octave higher. So the bleeding was honestly the worst part. My oxygen levels were normal, but she did give me kind of an oxygen mask to wear that did help break up some of the, blood and stuff that was going on, and it helped me sleep a little, more, but honestly, my entire time in the hospital, I don't think I got more than 2 hours of solid sleep at a time. It was very difficult to sleep. It wasn't even so much the pain of sleeping, it was just the bleeding and the breathing and everything was just so confusing. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it for you guys. You do need to be prepared for pain on that first day and discomfort and the bleeding and everything. I don't know if this was the drugs talking, but I do remember thinking to myself, like, hey, I was pretty cool before this. This was a mistake. I shouldn't have done it. But, I mean, obviously now I have no regrets about getting the surgery. It's just a tough couple of days. I did go home, I believe, on the 4th day. I might be off on that, somewhere on the 4th day. And, I was a bit worried about going home because, you know, there were nurses everywhere that could help me if I needed something, but honestly, going home was the best thing for me. But while I was in the hospital, they were trying to kind of help me get back to being able to swallow again, which is a really big thing. So I was introduced to syringes, which are so fun. They're not fun, but they're not the worst thing in the world. So this is the type of thing that I drink out of now and have been drinking out of since the hospital. I did start out on just water. That's all I felt I could get down at the time. But they did start me on some protein drinks and stuff. Turns out for like the first 2 days, I didn't have any calories at all in the hospital. We thought that I was getting something through the IV, but we were not. So, but I was not. So on day 2 or 3, I did start drinking, I think it is a protein drink called Boost. I was drinking that. It's very hard to swallow because it's a whole new layout of your mouth and your face, and it's really difficult to get used to, but you basically just take this little bendy thing and you move it along over your teeth. At the time that I started this, my mouth was bandaged shut with rubber bands. I can't say it. But now I only have 2, and they're very loose. I'm not clamped shut anymore. But having your jaw bandaged shut is not that scary. It sounds scary. I was relieved when I heard I wouldn't be wired shut, but honestly, I think either way it would have been fine. So there really is no need to worry about that. I know it sounds confining, but everything is so different. I don't know. It really didn't bother me. And then I believe I went home on day 4, everything was fine. I've been drinking out of these, mostly milkshakes, those get you the most calories, and after surgery, they really are concerned with just calories of any kind. Doesn't matter if it's healthy for you, if it's good for you, just keep your calories up, because that's what your body needs to heal. So, I went home on day 4. On day 6, my around the head bandage type thing had been removed way before in the hospital, probably on the 2nd day. But on day 6, I went to the doctor's office. They removed the bands that were keeping my mouth shut, and they removed my chin bandage. Um, Sorry, my voice is kind of going up and down because I'm trying to talk, but it's very difficult right now. They removed the chin bandage, which improved everything by like 100%. I actually got to feel this for the first time, and it really made me very emotional. I was very swollen. I still am pretty swollen. It's gone down quite a bit, but I'm not fully back to, or not fully at where I'm going to be, but I'm still pretty swollen. I'm also numb from here down. I can't feel anything really. I can't feel my lips, although I have gotten back some of my movement. I've been doing my own variation of lip exercises. I had no trouble with my eyes or eyebrows moving. They work fine. They have from the beginning. That was never an issue with that. For those of you who don't know why that could be an issue is when they do this surgery, they do go through a lot of nerves that can get stretched or damaged. My nerves were not damaged, so everything is good there. They should bounce back to normal, I was told, in about 2 months. So, but as of right now, I really can't feel anything, which may be a blessing in disguise because I'm sure it would be much more painful if I could feel. My lips were definitely beat up. Which brings me to my next essential, which is Carmex. Carmex is so important because my lips after surgery, and they still are just so beat up. They were stretched out, cut up, you know, the basics. They were very chapped and dead, so I have been using a lot of Carmex. The only thing is I do apply it with my finger because I can't actually feel. If I just did this, I wouldn't be able to tell if I got it on my lips or if I just got it somewhere, like all over my face. So I do use my finger to apply it for that reason. But you really can't feel anything. The doctors, my doctors have been great. I've been going to Dr. Qureshi, and he teaches at Case with a team of med students who have been so nice and great. They've really been amazing through all this, but they will test your numbness and everything. They'll break like a wooden Q-tip stick and poke you, and I haven't felt anything except for yesterday. They hit me right here and I felt it, but that was it. Like right here, they didn't feel anything, just right here. So I don't know why, but yeah. So they will be testing for that. What else? I have been so happy with my pain level, my new appearance, even though it's still a bit swollen. I mean, as someone who hasn't had a normal jawline since, you know, 7th grade, that was a long time ago, since I was like 12 or 13, it feels so amazing to just be able to, I don't know, I look like a different person. Everyone keeps saying it, and I honestly could not be happier. I mean, I've just had this insecurity for so long, and it's just gone. It's really been like a weight off my shoulders, so I'm really happy about that. I was told the first 2 weeks would be the most painful and they would be pretty awful, but honestly, I have been in great shape. Obviously, it's hard to communicate. It's not as hard now as it was before, but in the hospital when I was just learning to talk again, I did have a text-to-speech app on my phone that, really helped me when I wasn't feeling up to talking or when I wasn't being understood very well. So I do recommend getting something like that if you are going into this surgery because it did help me a lot. um, let's see. The pain has not been bad at all, really. As I mentioned before, I don't know if I mentioned this before actually, but I was only on heavy pain meds for the first 2 nights in the hospital, and then I was on ibuprofen and Tylenol, just Motrin. I have been on ibuprofen since then. I actually stopped taking the ibuprofen 3 days ago. I did take some today, but that was for a headache, so I'm not counting it. The pain has been fine. The hardest thing, pain-wise and overall, has just been sleeping. It's been very difficult for me to sleep, which, as you can tell, I'm actually sitting on my bed right now. I have a special bed that, I don't know if you can see this. I can move the top half up and down and the bottom half up and down, so I have been sleeping in an elevated position without a pillow, because the pillow just pushes on my face and it causes more pain. So I have been sleeping without a pillow. It has not been too uncomfortable, and other than that, it hasn't been bad at all. I've gotten a lot of love and support from, I've gotten a lot of love and support from my family and friends. I have flowers here and everywhere, and balloons and stuffed animals, and it's really been amazing to have support from everyone on this major life event. I do want to add in that I think I do have a very high pain tolerance, just because I've had pain every day for a long time, whether it be arthritis or anything with my jaw or other joints or anything. I am used to having pain, so I do think that I may have a higher tolerance than a lot of people. I was watching Shay Smith before the surgery, and she was going through much more than I was. She could barely talk at the end of 6 weeks, and I'm on week 2. I can open this much by now, which I think is more than Shay Smith could open by 6 weeks. So, and again, her surgery was 7 years ago, so things may have changed. My incisions are very, very subtle. Right now, obviously, they are still visible. I don't have great lighting here, so this is what they look like. I have one down here and one along the front of my ear. As you can see, this one is much more visible than the ear one. And then again, they did do gave me a little haircut. So it does extend up into here. But honestly, my hair covers it. And, the other side I think is the worst side. So I will show you that too. I'm told that the numbness will last 2 months. I am young, I'm 16, so I do think that my age is definitely helping with this healing process. I think I've been doing really well. I am going to be going to physical therapy to get my lips and jaw and everything kind of back to where they were before. Well, obviously not where they were before. Get the movement back to a reasonable amount. I think honestly on my own I've been doing really well, but I will be going to physical therapy, I believe, in the next week, 2 weeks, somewhere in there. So I will let you know how that goes, and if I would recommend it, which I'm sure I will. I've been doing my own kind of lip exercises, trying to get mobility back. As you can tell, I can't feel anything. So my lips are kind of, I can smile, as you can see, but that took a long time to get the hang of. They'll ask you in the hospital to try to smile and pucker your lips, and in the hospital I could not do it, and I'm sure it looked really funny. But now I can smile. Pucker my lips, I guess. Like, yeah, it's now working for me. But I do have to work on that. They didn't tell me to work on that, like, on my own or anything, but I do want to work on that. I need to actively help myself to heal, because I'm ready to get back to my life. I am starting online schooling, and, well, not necessarily online, but I am taking some online courses. I do have tutors coming to my house. I'm working along with my classmates from my computer. My school has been really great. If you are young and afraid of missing school, all the schools, I think, are supposed to be able to hook you up with something like that. That's actually the number one question I get. People don't seem to understand how major this surgery is. They hear jaw problems and they think, like, dental. This is not a, wisdom tooth surgery. This is a big deal. So I will not be returning to school. I'll be gone almost an entire quarter, of the year. So when people hear that, they're like, well, are you getting held back? How are you gonna do school? And that is how the school, sets you up with whatever you need to do when you can't be there. So, really, don't let that be a factor in, like, whether or not you get a surgery, because I know that it would be ideal to have this in the summer, but I could not wait that long. Right now, it's been tough with the liquid diet and, the pain and the swelling and the numbness, but I could not be happier. I am feeling so much better already. I can take a deep breath without struggling and just finally feeling that freedom again. My friends were visiting me, and they put their phone up to take a surprise picture, and all they had to do was turn to the side, So honestly, I could not feel more blessed. I do not regret having the surgery at all, even though it has been tough these past 2 weeks. If you are going into this anytime soon and you are worried about the pain, just know that it is so worth it, especially if you struggled like I did for so long. This is obviously, it's traumatic for you and your body to go through something like that. But yesterday I did go in, I met with my doctors and I went up and got a 3D scan of my face, and I got to briefly look at my knee joints, and it made me feel awesome. You don't feel the joints, really I can't feel the difference. I did think that I was feeling them when I pressed down, but I don't know if that's just, I don't know. But you don't feel bumpy or anything. They did take, fat from my stomach and put it in my face to help the new joints, kind of fit in, to avoid infection from empty space. So my stomach incision, I think, is doing pretty well. That honestly hurt longer than my face did, I think. Because, when you're just like, all this pain is going on up here, and then you try to sit up and you're like, ow, like, but I did start icing my stomach. It's been a bit swollen just in that one area. They did put the incision inside my belly button, so it shouldn't be visible. Honestly, this medical stuff, the incisions, it all kind of really grosses me out, so I'm just not a person who you know, is interested or enjoys the, you know, I just want to be better. I think I've had a lot of help, a lot of support from my parents. My mom stayed with me in the hospital every night, and her and my dad took shifts coming back and forth. They stayed in there. My dad stayed at a hotel across the street because they actually brought in a cot for my mom to sleep on, but it was too small for the both of them. So, but my parents have been incredible. They've been taking off work, to stay with me, and my grandparents have been visiting me all the time. They got me a unicorn, and, which is the best gift I've ever received, so, and they've been really great helping. They're actually going to be staying with us, so that they can be there for me over the next, few days, I think, and they'll be coming over periodically to help out, and they've honestly been amazing. So I was told, I think yesterday, that I was cleared to start, doing just blended things instead of like full-on liquid stuff. I don't think that actually changes anything. I'm not allowed to chew. Last night there was a failed experiment with those little noodles, not like very tiny ones that you use in wedding soup. I got like a bowl of those and it did not work out at all. So I'm gonna take a step back and try to do some less, I don't know, but I have been brushing my teeth, which was difficult at first, and it's still very difficult. I highly recommend getting a baby toothbrush. I know that you're already, you know, drinking out of syringes and like in bed all day, and, you know, Austin needs a baby toothbrush, but a very small, soft bristle toothbrush would be very helpful. Right now I do have rubber bands in, so those are hard to brush around. Actually, the night before my doctor's appointment, I was brushing my teeth and the rubber band popped out, and I was freaking out because I was like, I don't know where it's supposed to go. But we did get it back in, and then I had a doctor's appointment in like a few hours, so it really wasn't a big deal. I am allowed to remove them, but just because of how much pain I'm in right now, I don't really feel like I would like to. Because the incisions are still sensitive. I don't know how healed they are. They didn't check yesterday, or if they did, they didn't talk about it with us. But I do think, based on how well these outside ones are doing, the inside ones will heal faster, I think. So, you know, I have high hopes for that. Honestly, guys, I am so happy, and there are times when I just get really like, ugh, this is terrible, but most of the time, I was told that depression would be a side effect of just this whole process, and I knew from the start I would not be feeling that because I was actually depressed that I could not get the surgery, so having it done is just, it's a blessing to me. Honestly, I feel like the luckiest person in the whole world to have this done, and I do not take it back at all. I have no regrets about getting it done, and I know that a lot of people out there are scared. I actually got in touch with a girl who is also getting the surgery sometime this summer, and she was very nervous, especially about the pain, but honestly, I'm kind of a total wimp, so if I can get through it, you can get through it. And, you know, as of right now, I am not uploading these videos. I plan on uploading them at the same time because I know when I was looking for information, I did not want to wait. So, if I upload them at the same time, you can get all your information in one place, and it'll be hopefully helpful. if you have any questions, I will be so happy to help you, reassure you, answer your questions. I don't know if I left anything out in this video, but I'll add it in next time if I do. Thank you so much for watching. I hope today helped you out a little bit, and I will see you next time.